And welcome back to Hannity. We are broadcasting live tonight. Beautiful Davenport, Iowa. Thank you all for coming. We continue now with former President Donald Trump as we now head into the Iowa caucus season. A two-part question on Joe Biden. One is about his cognitive decline, and the second is about the Biden family syndicate, as I call it. Let's first play an RNC ad about Joe Biden. Take a look.
But the nature, not when the political coverage, that, look, some of the political players and some of the, let me ask a rhetorical question. No, I won't. Anyway.
Now, I could play tape from almost every day. I think another horrible moment for him was that gaggle on Air Force One after he left Israel.
Yeah.
So my question is, what do you think about his cognitive state? And number two, the issue of Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, lying to the country as a candidate and president. I never had a discussion with Hunter or my brother or anybody for that matter on foreign business deals. We know, according to Devin Archer, he was on phone calls. We know he was meeting with oligarchs like the former First Lady of Moscow at Cafe Milano. Doesn't seem to get the attention in the media that anything involving you gets. What is your reaction to both?
Well, you know, they've been after all of my numbers and facts and figures, and they found out that it was incredible. Somebody said, you must be the most honest guy in the world, because after all these years, and they saw everything, my tax returns, they saw everything, went up to the ceiling and they saw it. He is number one from your standpoint, cognitively. You like to use that word, cognitively. He's not good, but it's not for me to say. I will say this. I just saw a commercial by these lowlifes where they took me imitating him at a speech where we were all having a lot of fun. It's not really fun because we shouldn't be joking about it. I actually told Sean, you shouldn't joke about it. It's serious. We're dealing with nuclear. We're dealing with
by the way, that is
leaders.
A true story. You actually called me and said, it's not funny, because I was joking about it.
That's not funny
at all. I said, I thought about it, and I said, you're right. And I said, how come you never listen to my advice?
But it's true. It's actually true, unfortunately. But, you know, I imitated him not finding his way off a stage. It's not really that hard. You're looking around, and I walk into a wall. I say, let me see. And I do that a lot. You know, I just sort of, at some of our rallies. And then I'll say, our real president is Barack Hussein Obama. They'll say, he doesn't know who the president is. He thinks it's Barack Hussein. No, I'm being sarcastic. So they imitate it, but they're disgraceful. I'll tell you what. We are dealing, and you are dealing. I got to know them all, the leaders of the world. I got to know them all, and they're at the top of their game. Some are bad people. Some are decent people. They all have one thing in common. They want what's good for their country, whether it's President Xi of China or Kim Jong-un of North Korea. You would have been, if Hillary got in, you would have been in a nuclear war. That would have been a nuclear war. Any one of them, they're all, including Macron of France. I mean, you can go to any of them. Putin. They're at the top of their game. We have somebody that was never at the top of his game. 25 years ago, he wasn't one of the light bulbs. He wasn't one of the bright ones. And I tell the story. So Ted Kennedy, believe it or not, was a friend of mine because of Palm Beach. They lived in Palm Beach at what's called the Kennedy compound. And I did him a big favor one time, and somehow he liked me. I liked him, even though we were opposite in many ways, politically, certainly. And I said to him, who's the smartest guy in the Senate? And he gave me a name. I don't want to tell you because I really don't like the guy at all. Still around. I said, who's the dumbest? He said, probably Joe. I said, who's Joe? Joe Biden. It's the first time. I said, And that was it. And now I see when he's not in prime time for himself, I mean, years later, he failed on being president when he was like normal. Something is going wrong. And we can't afford it because we have a problem today. Nuclear weapons is the single biggest problem the world has. And we have people, you know, it used to be 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, even 3 years ago, nobody would have thought about nuclear. You couldn't mention the word. Now it's being mentioned at every meeting. Every time you talk, it's being mentioned. The level of power of the nuclear weapons is incredible.
Scary.
Like, take Hiroshima or take Nagasaki, and you look, and that was many, many decades ago, and multiply that times 500. That's what a big bomb would be today, whether it's Israel or really major countries. Nuclear weapons are the biggest problem we have, and we have a man that can't put two sentences together. We have a man that doesn't know he's alive, and he's backed up by the media. The biggest problem we have, the media. The media is fake. I came up with the term a long time ago, and they won't talk about it.
And let me ask you this.
If I did some of the things that he did, they'd reinstitute the death penalty. Okay? They don't want to talk about it. When he gets paid $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife, when I brought it up at a debate, and Chris Wallace was moderating. How's he doing, by the way? Not too good. Chris Wallace. Whatever happened to Chris Wallace? And I said, why is he getting $3.5 million? I want to ask him that question. And Chris Wallace interceded because Joe didn't know he was alive. And so Chris Wallace interceded, and he said, you shouldn't be asking that. And now it's a big subject, and I talked about it literally 3 years ago. But why does all this money come in from China?